Intro.
Dad, you can't play anyway.
Fine, I'll just cheat then. Hello and welcome to a new show. This is the first ever episode of Synth and sEnsibiLity, which has absolutely no sensibility whatsoever. There's quite a lot going on at the moment, so I'm going to jump into some various bits of news. First up, Australia actually has some interesting things going on at the moment, which is a pretty good sign. We've got the Electronic Music Festival, which is literally happening as I'm recording this, and it's the last day, and it'll be over by the time that you actually see this. But at least kind of shows you that there are things happening. This is unfortunately in Sydney, so I wasn't able to attend, but this is probably more the DJ side of various bits and pieces, but there's still some very interesting bits and pieces that were coming on, such as, let's have a look, because, well, why not? Obviously it's, yeah, moving on, because I think that's probably a good time. Other things that are kind of coming up in a week and a bit's time, we actually have, and providing I can actually bring the right thing up, which would be a good sign, the Melbourne Synth Festival, which I'm actually going to go down to, and I'm going to try and give you some kind of feedback on there, and I'll try and do some interviews, which, given the fact that I've not really done this before, is going to be a schmozzle of some description. I'm hoping that I can get some interviews with some of the Australian developers, and I'm very, very excited for the sheer fact that I've heard that Synthstrom is going to be there. They're the people who make the Deluge, who, if anyone knows me, I'm a big fan of the Deluge. I think it's very important that we take the Deluge, which is actually made in New Zealand, and I think it's very important as my right as an Australian to claim ownership of anything that New Zealand actually makes, and that we should move them here like Crowded House. Unfortunately, Lord has kind of slipped through our fingers and we can no longer claim her, but maybe we can try getting Synthstrom. I'll have a chat with Ian, who is going to be down there. I'm sure he won't mind at all. But other things that are going to be on down there are, there's going to be demonstrations by the Yamaha with their Mo DX. There's also going to be demonstrations by Waldorf with the Waldorf Q. Does that sound right? Hang on, let's find out. The best bit about the Q is the new Waldorf that's coming out, which is, hang on, Waldorf Quantum. The Q is the old one, Quantum is the new one. The Quantum, which will be lovely to look at. I shall try not to drill too much, however, I also can't, the wallet will be firmly wedged into my pocket at the rather large price that it is, and probably well worth it. I'm going to go try and check it out, and I will try and again grab my nice little handy camera and actually try and give you some idea about what that's all like. Crossing fingers. Other bits of news. Also, the bit of interesting stuff. There's been an announcement from the Media Association and the MMA that quite a few new memberships have joined, such brands like Ableton, who make live, obviously, Native Industries, Native Instruments, I'll get it right one day, Audio Modeling, Touch Keys, and a whole bunch of other people. And the big news, obviously, was that it's that they're working on the future of MIDI, and I have some slightly inside knowledge on the fact that they're going to be releasing a little bit more information, kind of, at the Audio Developers Conference, which is here in London, which is a little far away, and I can't really see myself getting there, especially as that is happening on the 21st. So I'm actually hoping we can actually have some more information about that, because there's a lot of very, very, very cool stuff happening in the future. Anyway, so there's that as well. So lots of good conferences coming up, and hopefully some, news that I can actually give you, which would be really, really good. I guess we're getting back into the more sort of news that have actually happened. It's come out that there's the new Apple iPad Pro has come out. They're actually touting it. It's been touted as the best, music production-y kind of tool for obviously portable, as opposed to lugging around a big whopping tower or laptop, which you could use a laptop and get it going. And look, I have an iPad Pro. It's kind of nice to know that the continuation of removing ports and not sticking with the existing ports is going to go ahead. I think they're on to port design number 3, and I think that it's a good sign that things are progressing with Apple. I mean, it would be nice if it progressed enough that you could actually get your files on and off easily, like Android or any other operating system that was actually usable. There's nothing like having to have a music MP3 and media application running to try and get files on and off. Yes, I know that there is Dropbox, but it's kind of a bit disappointing. People may disagree, but at a whole, they're touting the price at $1,200 thereabouts for the iPad Pro 10-inch. I think is about that price. Sure, and the iPad itself is very, very good for lots of music apps. Not so good for anything else. Although I'm sure lots of people would disagree with me. Enough said, the better. But it's obviously got the Apple Pen. It's got a little bit less on the bezel side of it. Make up your own mind, and we'll see how we go. Moving on. I guess obviously the next thing that I kind of want to talk about is, speaking of Apple, why don't we actually start doing a quick review, and I'll see if I can bring this up in time, of the D1 made by Audiokit, which is kind of the half a D50. So where the D50 has an upper and lower layer with 2 parts, this is effectively just like an upper layer. The irony is not lost on me, and the fact that I think this application comes in at about $15 Australian, which as a module sounds great. However, I did happen to go and buy an old D50 the other day, which I've spent probably more time on repairing and more time trying to get it going than I have actually working with a thing that works right here. Let's play some, because it actually does sound very, very cool. These are obviously the 1,000,001 different patches that it comes with. I'm just going to hit random because that's actually a really good way to go through things. You get some things that are good. Any of the crackling you hear is actually because I'm running this through the screen sharey thing. So there's actually no crackle on it. It's made by the same people who did the Synth 1, which is actually a very, very nice free one. And honestly, it is just really, really nice go and use. You know, and it's got that real 80s digital, but really nice 80s digital. None of this sort of kind of crappy 80s digital. It's actually really, really nice. And you get lots of very cool things. Plenty of stuff to play with. So you have obviously your layers, which are your two what they would be like partials, but you can use both PCM and oscillators. So very much like the D50 on that respect. You've obviously got your, unlike the D50, you've got a bit more in the way of effects. You're not just reliant on chorus and reverb. You've got, you know, bit crush and distortion amp as well, which obviously adds a lot more to it. Lots of LFO routing, which is really, really nice. The best part is obviously it's got this great sequencer part of it, which is 16-step sequencer, which works out really, really well. The downsides: Audiokit for some reason will not sync to MIDI clock. I do not know why. I have asked, and they've said, "Oh no, we don't want to do that." It's not. Maybe they find it too hard. It does sync to Ableton, the Ableton link, which is okay, but not real good if you're using it in, say, a DAWless situation like I tend to use here, because, well, unless I have some kind of MIDI clocked Ableton link, etc., etc., etc. And I believe that there is a software one that does that, but, you know, it's way too much trouble. But beautiful sounds. It actually makes me think that I can play. And obviously, really rich, really nice, and the you know, it's not like I've sat there at times and just watched the waveform go peacefully. So great. Can't recommend it enough, and for $15, it's a kind of a no-brainer. Just unfortunately, you need to lay out the rather expensive iPad to go with it. And obviously, if you wanted to use external MIDI, you've either got to use RTP, or you can do obviously over USB, or get a decent USB to MIDI device. But it's kind of like I'm just literally hitting the random ones. There are a heap of stuff in here, all kinds of, you know. And look, there's plenty of reviews out there that go through every single patch known to man. And you can go look at those on YouTube. Yeah, easy enough to do. So that's the D1. Let me know what you think, and obviously, you know, come back, tell me your thoughts, but also tell me your favourite patches, and we'll go from there. Right, moving on. So, the next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was the new Bass Station 2. Let me just put that down there, so I don't let it fall anywhere drastic, because that would be the last thing I'd want with an iPad. I'm not replacing a screen that I can't get replaced, but Apple, because of some security trick, you know. Anyway, moving on. The Bass Station 2.5 has been released. There is a heap of really good videos out there. I kind of wanted to do a bit my own because it is just so much fun. And the best bit is that on Components, which is the base station or the Novation website, which you can just hook up and use web MIDI and it will download. There's actually a whole bank that is meant for all of the new, well, not meant for all of the new features, but contains a lot of the new features of the paraphonic mode and the other modes. The oscillator, I think it's the random oscillation. There's the ranges of things, but it does sound really good, and it does. The paraphonic thing is worth it alone, and it's kind of made me fall in love with the bass station all over again. That's come out, what, 5 years ago now, something along that lines. Yes, okay, that's enough. For a device that's come out, when did the base station come out? Let's just have a quick look. Version to release date. Now it came out in 2013, so 5 years. I wasn't too far off. The fact that they're still making updates and firmware updates is very, very good, and to be honest with you, I think quite a few more manufacturers could actually take that on board and not just abandon things after a year. Not looking at anybody in particular, but one thing that has upset me a little bit is that Novation doesn't release the sysx structure. And for those of us who are mad enough to go down that road, it's very hard to write our own patch editors or to do some experimenting with some of the stuff. It would be really nice if Novation did that. But enough of my whinging. Let's have a listen, because it just sounds so good. Although that's a very very normal bass station sound. So how you turn on the paraphonic mode is literally you hold down function and you go to oscillator sync and you hit it twice and then you just turn it on. Not that that's a particularly great sound to actually experiment with. There's a whole bunch of things. There's a sort of I should have actually probably looked into this a little bit better. I did have it all in my head the other day when I was playing with this for several hours. It's easy enough to figure out. There's other videos, have a look. But there's just so many. Maybe I should learn how to play. All I can say is it's awesome. Okay, so that's a very, very quick, obviously, first video for this. I would like to put out there that if you'd like to see more of this, obviously the fact that, this is the first go, so there's quite a little couple of mistakes. Please ignore, and we'll get better over time. But if you would like to come on and show us some of your gear, come and join me, come and actually spend, show off some stuff that you're doing. If you've got any gigs coming up, let me know. Obviously, this show is predominantly trying to be a bit more Australian based, so I'm trying to give out Australian prices for things, and I'm trying to tell you about things that are happening in Australia, because there's enough information about what's happening in the rest of the world. It'd be nice to find out some of the stuff that's happening here. So if you've got some information, please let me know. Just send me a message through YouTube or something along that lines. If you don't like what we're doing, send me a very nice email about how to improve. That would be good. On that note, I'm off. I will catch you later. See, I don't need to know how to play.